What obstacles do girls in India face when it comes to education, and what is there in place to try and combat these problems? A report in 2020 by Gohain said that nearly 40% of adolescent girls in the age group of 15 to 18 years are not attending school, while 30% of girls from poorest families have never set foot in a classroom, according to a status report. This number of young girls and women not attending school highlights the fact that there are issues preventing girls and women from getting a good education, and emphasizes the need to help them receive an education. In this presentation, I will talk about the various different obstacles girls in India face that prevents them from attending school, and what is being done about it, looking at Sustainable Development Goal number 5 and how this target is hoping to help girls attend school. Child marriage. Child marriage is a formal marriage or informal union that takes place before one or both of the people involved are 18, according to Plan International. Child marriage is one of the key obstacles that young girls face in India when it comes to receiving a good education. There is evidence that child marriage takes place in India, with estimates suggesting that at least 1.5 million girls under 18 get married in India, according to UNICEF. Child marriage has proven itself to be a big issue that needs to be combated in order to not only make sure girls have the right to stay in education, but to also protect their physical well-being. In 2020, UNICEF said that child marriage often compromises a girl's development by resulting in early pregnancy and social isolation, interrupting her schooling and limiting her opportunities for career and vocational advancement. Looking at this, it is important to see how child marriage can also have a negative impact on a young girl's life outside of education, with early pregnancies and social isolation. Focusing on the aspect of education, child marriage can create many problems for women who are trying to attend school. Becoming pregnant means that they have to drop out of school to look after their children. As well as this, Girls Not Brides have said that when a girl gets married, she is often expected to drop out of school to look after the home, children, and extended family. Graph A shows the percentage of women who were aged 20 to 24 years who were first married in a union before age 15 and before age 18. The purple bar stands for women who were married before they were 15, and the yellow bar stands for women married before they were 18. South Asia, where India is the fourth highest for child marriages in the table. The graph shows that the majority of child marriages in South Asia happen before the age of 18, though there are some child marriages that take place before the age of 15 too. Whilst this doesn't specifically focus on India, it does give a good idea of child marriages that take place in the area, and the comparisons that can be made between South Asia and other regions. Despite the troubles that young girls face when it comes to child marriage, there is hope and help for them to stay in education. One example of a young girl in India being helped to stay out of a child marriage and to stay in education comes from World Vision, who talk about their experiences with 15-year-old Reshmi, whose parents wanted her to get married. This meant that Reshmi would have had to drop out of education. However, World Vision approached her parents and they compelled her family to drop the marriage plans, meaning that Reshmi could have the opportunity to stay in education and continue her studies. When looking back at what had happened, Reshmi's mother said, "We realised that we made a big mistake at an early age. Now we want her to study well and pursue her interests." This indicates that education can actually be one of the ways to keep young women in education. By teaching parents about the importance of their daughters receiving an education and helping them understand why it is important, this can help women remain in school by encouraging their parents to not allow them, or make them, drop out. Housework. Another issue that girls in India face as a barrier to education is the expectation for them to drop out of school to do housework and take on the role of helping the family. This can link in with child marriage, where once a young girl is married they are expected to drop out of school to look after their children and become a housewife. However, girls can also be expected to either drop out of school or not attend to help out with their parents, grandparents, and siblings. An example of this is 11-year-old Neha, whose parents enrolled her in school when she was 6, but she dropped out 4 years later before completing elementary school. She had to help her mother with housework and look after her younger siblings, Palak and Sunny, according to Times. This highlights another issue, where even though families are told that their daughters must receive an education, they still allow them not to attend school. It also shows how views and ideas of the role that women should have in society can have an impact on whether or not girls attend schools. Female genital mutilation. Female genital mutilation has been described by the Desert Flower Foundation as a destructive operation which the female genital parts are partly or entirely removed or injured with the aim of inhibiting a woman's sexual feelings. There is evidence that indicates that FGM takes place in India within the Bohra Muslim community. Kantara wrote in 2018 that just weeks after the Indian government declared that there was no data to support the existence of female genital mutilation in the country, a small study has shown a 75% incidence across the Bohra Muslim community. Female genital mutilation can have a negative impact on girls when it comes to their education. According to the Commonwealth, female genital mutilation can hinder and even end a girl's education due to complications endured by girls following the practice, including health issues, pain, and distress, which can cause girls to be less focused or absent. This means that FGM can affect how well women do in their studies, and even if they do still attend school, make it so that they can struggle to do as well as they would have had it not been for female genital mutilation taking place. So, what is being done? The fifth Sustainable Development Goal is to achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls, as stated by the United Nations. UNICEF says that Target 5.3 of Sustainable Development Goal number 5 is to eliminate all forms of violence against all women and girls in the public and private spheres, including trafficking and sexual and other types of exploitation. This can include female genital mutilation and shows that there is an aim to try and eliminate the practice from happening. The United Nations also targets child marriage and female genital mutilation by saying that by 2030, the UN hopes to have eliminated all discrimination, violence, and all harmful practices, such as child, early, and forced marriage and genital mutilation. There is also evidence that the help is working, with the United Nations saying in 2019 that the practice of child marriage has continued to decline around the world, largely driven by progress in South Asia, where a girl's risk of marrying in childhood decreased by about 1/4 between 2013 and 2018. In this picture, we can see the figures of girls in education in India compared to boys. It can be seen that boys mainly have a higher percentage than girls. For example, compared to 82.14% of literate men, only 65.46% of girls are literate. The image also shows the percentage of girls who do not go on to higher education, with an alarming 74.6% of women in India not attending higher education. This is what Sustainable Development Goal number 5 hopes to resolve and bring equality between men and women. However, COVID-19 has had an impact on the effectiveness of the help young girls are receiving. The United Nations said in 2020 that school closures and widening poverty as a result of the pandemic could put more girls at risk. It's important for young girls to keep receiving help through the pandemic in order to help them either enroll in school or stay in school, and to help keep them safe. In conclusion, child marriage has proven itself to be one of the big factors in India which prevents women from receiving an education. Female genital mutilation and the expectation for women to help their families with cooking, cleaning, and other forms of housework also create an issue for girls who wish to attend school. However, There is hope for women. A Sustainable Development Goal number 5 aims to achieve gender equality and help women receive an education all over the world, including in India.